Welcome to this Hazzanukkah concert. Hazzanukkah comes, it's made up of the word Chazan, which is Cantor, and Hanukkah, Hazzanukkah. So I am Chazan David Barash, Cantor David Barash from Congregation Emmanuel B'nai Jeshurun in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'd like to invite you to this concert. We're going to be singing all kinds of different songs about Hanukkah. Some of them are related to what you see behind me, the light of Hanukkah. Some are related to the heroes, the heroism of Hanukkah, the Maccabees. Some songs will be about the Dreidels and the Gelt and the different types of games that we play on Hanukkah. And some relate to the food, which also relates to the oil that we have on Hanukkah. And the oil ties in to the candles as well, and to the lights. So we begin with the candle blessing that we say each night of Hanukkah. We're not going to light the candles right now, but we're going to continue. We're going to start with the candle blessing that we say during Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shechanukah Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. And a hearty thanks to Dan Dance for providing most of the recordings, most of these musical recordings that you're hearing, and a few of them also by Scott Finch that you'll hear as well. The next song is entitled Nerot Halalu. These are the traditional words that we say right after we light the candles. We just did the candle lighting, and we say, these lights which we kindle, Nerot Halalu. Hanerot, Hanerot, Hanerot halalu, Hanerot, Hanerot, Hanerot halalu, Anu madlikin, Anu madlikin, Hanerot halalu, Anu madlikin, Hanerot, Hanerot, Hanerot halalu. Hanerot, Hanerot, Hanerot halalu, Anu madlikin, Anu madlikin, Hanerot halalu, Anu madlikin. And the next words, right after that, are Alhanissim, V'al haniflaot, V'al hapurkan, V'al haniflaot, V'al hagvurot, V'al hatshuot, all these different words concerning the heroism, the triumphs, the miraculous deliverance of our ancestors. We thank you for all of these things in our days, in those days, and also in our own time. Alhanissim by Dov Freemer. Alhanissim ve'al hapurkan ועל הגבורות, ועל השועות, ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. על הניסים ועל הפורגן, ועל הגבורות, ועל השועות, ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. על הניסים ועל הפורגן, ועל הגבורות, ועל השועות, ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. על הניסים ועל הפורגן, ועל הגבורות, ועל השועות, ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. בימים ההם בזמן הזה. בימים ההם בזמן הזה. We continue with two versions of Ma'ot Sur. This is probably one of the most well-known songs of Hanukkah, and there are two different versions. First, the one that we actually started the program with, that you heard it in the intro, the piano music. And this particular tune, many musicologists agree that it's an adapted non-Jewish tune. It's actually a tune that made its way in from another culture. And it's one of the best examples of a foreign melody that we have becoming one of the best known and accepted tunes, not only of Hanukkah, but in Jewish life. Ma'ot Sur, Rock of Ages. And I have for you a beautiful video that our adult choir prepared in this age of COVID. This is a virtual choir video. Each of us made a little video, and we have a masterful engineer, Scott Finch, who put them all together. And we'd like to share this with you right now. Hearty thank you to our adult choir, and we had a few teenagers join us as well for that video that was produced by Scott Finch. So that's one setting of Ma'ot Sur that I think is very familiar to everyone. It's in the major. It jumps around. Ma'ot Sur Yeshuati. Lots of intervals between the notes. And it's an Ashkenazi tune. It's a tune of Western, Eastern European. It's a European tune. We have another tune that made its way by a composer named Benedetto Marcello. And this is in the early 18th century, the early 1700s. Benedetto Marcello, an Italian composer, wrote this song, composed this song. It's one of the earliest pieces of composed music that we have in the Jewish tradition, where it's actually been notated. Many times many times melodies were passed down from one cantor to another. It was an oral tradition, and this is one of the first examples of a written transcript that we have of this particular piece. He was an Italian composer, and he documented a number of melodies of the Italian Sephardim. One more note about the poem Ma'oz Sur. The poem itself is probably 400 or 500 years old, maybe even more, and it's actually an acrostic. The mem of you can hear the sound. The mem of the first word Ma'oz Sur was the first letter that we'll take into consideration, and there are 5 other stanzas, and the next stanza begins with the letter Resh. The next Daled, Kaf, and Yud. And if you put those together, the first letter of each stanza, it spells the word Mordechai. And you might think, what does Mordechai have to do with the Hanukkah story? Mordechai sounds like it's Purim. So that is true. While that is true, that Mordechai is really in the Purim story, the author of this poem, his name was Mordechai, and he wove his name into the poem Ma'oz Sur. Many of us are familiar just with this first stanza, if you will, but there are actually 5 stanzas. So this next piece, I want to take a listen to this, and then we'll talk about what's the difference between the first version that we had that was in the major and kind of jumping all around, and this one that's coming up now. Ma'oz Tzur Yeshuati Lecha Na'el Shabeach Tikon Betefilati V'sham Toda Mizabeach Le'etachin Matbeach Mitzar Hamnabeach Azegmor B'shir Mizmor Chanukah HaMizbeach. Le'etachin matbeach mitzar hamnabeach azegmor b'shir mizmor Chanukah HaMizbeach. Very different feel for this version of Ma'oz Sur. Ma'oz Sur, Rock of Ages, let our song praise your saving power. You amidst the raging throngs were our sheltering tower. Furious they assailed us, but your help availed us. And your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us. So it certainly could fit those the first sound, Ma'oz Sur. But what happens when we sing it to this one? Ma'oz Sur, Yeshuati. It's in the minor. It's not in the major, it's in the minor, and it's stepwise progression. It's a much older tune in that it follows a stepwise progression as opposed to jumping different intervals. Also where it ends. Azegmor b'shir mizmor Chanukah HaMizbeach. It ends on what we would consider in the musical world, it ends on the dominant. But we kind of wanted to go back to where we started, to this note, which is the tonic. The first tune starts on the tonic. Ma'oz Sur Yeshuati. Keeps coming back to the tonic. Da 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 ya da da ya da 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 dum bum bum. That grounds us. We feel grounded. But in this other tune, it ends on the dominant. It ends on the fifth. We're kind of hanging. And I think it's also a reflection of, while we're very thankful to God for the miracles that we received and the miracles that God provided for us, we know that things could change in a moment. We're in this whole past year is a good example of that. We're in this year of COVID, this year of this pandemic, and there really hasn't been a lot of light. But now with the vaccine coming out, we start to feel more hopeful. but life is a little more in the balance. I think this tune reflects that, and is a very, very worthwhile tune to remember alongside the one that we all know so well. Another beautiful song. This is called Nerli. This is a children's song. Nerli, nerli dakik. The little candles that I light will bring light to the holiday of Hanukkah. Nerli, nerli, nerli dakik, b'Chanukah neri yadlik, b'Chanukah neri yair, b'Chanukah shirim ashir, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, la 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 la, ya la la la, b'Chanukah neri yair, b'Chanukah shirim ashir. You can hear the delightful little melody. La 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 la. Very playful. We continue now on our journey of these Hanukkah songs dealing with light to Ocho Candelitas. Ocho Candelitas. Hebrew? Wait a minute. Ocho. That doesn't sound like Hebrew. That sounds like Spanish. Ocho, it's true, it is Spanish. Candelicas, that also sounds like Spanish, but it says, Chanukah linda sta aquí. Chanukah, that's Hebrew. Linda, that's Spanish. You put them together, we have this language from, it's another dialect of some Sephardic Jews or Sephardic Jews or Ladino Jews. It's actually Ladino Jews. This is a melody. This is a language called Ladino, and it's incorporated. It's the language of the Spanish Jews. And so this, I'll explain the song and then we'll sing it. Chanukah linda sta aquí. Beautiful Hanukkah is here. Ocho candelas para mí. 8 candles for me. And then we go through and we count them. Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas. We think cinco, but it's cinchu, because that's the Ladino part. Cinchu candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. 8 candles for me. And then it continues on. Muchas fiestas vou fazer. Many parties I will have. Con alegrías y placer, with happiness and pleasure. And then we go back to the counting. And now we encounter the foods that the Spanish Jews ate. It says, los pastelicos vou comer. Los pastelicos, many pastries I will eat. Con almendricas y la miel, with almonds and honey. So this is one of the Hanukkah treats of the Spanish Jews, is little pastries with almonds and honey. We certainly know some of the other gastronomical wonders that we have. Latkes, made with oil. Sufganiyot, jelly donuts, made with oil. I would imagine there's some oil involved in these little pastries as well, maybe a little bit less. But we're encountering all kinds of different foods, and even in the song, it mentions the foods that the Spanish Jews ate. Chanukah linda, sta aquí ocho candelicas. Chanukah linda, sta aquí ocho candelas para mí. Chanukah linda, sta aquí ocho candelas para mí. Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. Muchas fiestas vou fazer, con alegrías y placer. Muchas fiestas vou fazer, con almendricas y la miel. Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres Tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. Los pastelicos voy a comer con almendricas y la miel. Los pastelicos voy a comer con almendricas y la miel. Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. Ocho candelicas. Beautiful song. We continue now with another youth choir video that our CBJ youth put together. It's called Hanukkah Round. I've got to set it up here. Just give me one moment. Hanukkah Round, and this was made by Stephen Richards. So Stephen Richards, let me start this here. And I think we're just about ready for it. Here we go. This is Hanukkah Round by Stephen Richards, performed by our youth.
Candles burning all night long. Hanukkah, oh Hanukkah. Judah, Judah, Maccabee fought the Greeks to set us free. They know no right. They know no right. Candles burning all night long. Hanukkah, oh Hanukkah. Judah, Judah, Maccabee fought the Greeks to set us free. They know no right. They know no right. They know no right. They know no right. Yeah!
So that's a lovely song. Again, Hanukkah Catch, Hanukkah Round by Stephen Richards. I meant to say for Ocho Candelicas, that was composed by Flori Jagoda, who's a wonderful composer in her own right, and she made this song, and we're happy that we could present that one before for you as well. This next song is called Nerot Dolkhim, and it actually was written by Felix Mendelssohn many, many years ago. The burning Hanukkah candles in every window give off a wonderful glow. It really is our duty, it's our obligation to publicize the miracle. So many times we'll light them at night so people can see them, and we'll light them in a window so that we can publish and publicize the miracle. Nerot Dolkhim. Nerot Dolkhim, Nerot Dakim, Hakol Chalon Barchov, Urim Borkim, Urim Zakim, Bishmehat Chol Larov, Urim Borkim, Urim Zakim, Bishmehat Chol Larov. Urim Borkim, Urim Zakim, Bishmehat Chol Larov. Urim Borkim, Urim Zakim, Bishmehat Chol Larov. A Hanukkah classic, Yemei HaChanukah. Yemei HaChanukah, we have the words that we'll sing in Hebrew. And then the English words talk about having a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather around the table. We'll give you a treat. Shiny tops to play with and latkes to eat. So here's a song about latkes. We had a song about these pastries, and now we talk about the latkes. And in the Hebrew, it mentions sufganiyot, the jelly donuts that we eat in Israel, and also here in the States and all over the world as well. Yemei HaChanukah. ימי החנוכה, חנוכה מקדשנו בגילוי ושמחה ממלאים את ליבנו לילה ויום סביב עוננו יישוב סופגניות נאכל בם לרוב העירו הדליקו נרות החנוכה רבים על הניסים ועל הנפלאות אשר חוללו המכבים על הניסים ועל הנפלאות אשר חוללו המכבים. O Chanukah, light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Shiny tops to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. So, we picked up on the foods in this song, and also in the Hebrew it talked about the Maccabim, the Maccabees, the Maccabees, the Maccabees. And we talked earlier in this program about the miracle that everybody knows, that one little bit of oil could last for 8 days. That's the story that everybody remembers. But really the true miracle is that the small band of Maccabeans and of Jews at this time could defeat the Syrian army, some might say the Greek army, and go back into the temple and rededicate the temple. And that's what Hanukkah means, to rededicate. So we rededicated the temple at that time. We're rededicating our lives at this time. As we continue on, we continue with the song Mi Yemalel, which will talk also about a little bit about the Maccabees as well. Mi Nerot Israel otan bimne en bechol dor yakum magibor goel ham. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid. Hark! In days of yore in Israel's ancient land, brave Maccabeus led the faithful band. But now all Israel must as one arise, redeem itself through deed and sacrifice. Mi Yemalel Gvurot Yisrael otan mimne en bechodor yakum magibor goel ha'am. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid. As we continue now with a very popular song that was it's a more recent, modern song composed by Debbie Friedman, not by might, not by power, but by spirit alone shall we all live in peace. This is adapted from Zechariah chapter 4, verse 6, which we also read, some of us, as part of a haftarah during Hanukkah. Not by might and not by power, but by spirit alone shall we all live in peace. not by might and not by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. The children sing, the children dream, and their tears may fall, but we'll hear them call, and another song will rise, another song will rise, another song will rise. Not by might and not by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. Not by might and not by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. Not by might, not by power. Shalom. We now turn to, I have to change 1 second. I've got something to do here. That's not what I meant to do. Here we go. And now we go to the theme of dreidels. And so I had to change my virtual screen now to dreidels. So we're going to talk a little bit about some dreidel songs. Sivivon, Sivivon, Sof, 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 Chanukah, Hu Chag Tov. Sivivon, let the dreidel spin. Dreidel is a Yiddish word for a spinning top. We heard in this song previous one or two about the spinning tops that we'll have and latkes to eat. In Hebrew, that is called a sivivon. And you can hear there's a little alliteration or onomatopoeia when you say the word bottle, for example, goes bakbuk, bakbuk, bakbuk. That's the word for a bottle in Hebrew. Sivivon, sivivon, sov, 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 sov. It's moving around, sov, 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 which means to turn very quickly. And in Yiddish, the word is dreidel. We use these games to have a little fun on Hanukkah as well. We play with gelt. And there are 4 letters on the dreidel. In the diaspora, the letters are Nun, Gimel, Hey, and Shin. And they stand for Nes, Gadol, Haya, Sham. A great miracle happened there, over there in Israel. In Israel, they are over there, so they say happened here. Nes, so it's Nun, Gimel, Hey, Pei. A great Nes Gadol Haya Po. A great miracle happened here. So, since we're in the diaspora, right now in the United States, we're going to sing the song Nes Gadol Haya Sham. You'll hear that in this song. Sivivon Sof Sof Sof. Turn around, turn around. You'll even hear it in this wonderful piano accompaniment by Dan Dance. Sivivon, sof, 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 Chanukah, hu chatov, Chanukah, hu chatov, Sivivon, sof, 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 Chag simcha hu la'am, Nes gadol haya sham, Nes gadol haya sham, Chag simcha hu la'am, Sivivon, sof, 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 Chanukah, hu chatov, Chanukah, hu chatov, Sivivon, sof, 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 Chag simcha hu la'am, Nes gadol haya sham, Nes gadol haya sham, Chag simcha hu la'am. So, little dreidel, spin, spin, spin. Hanukkah is a day of joy. The miracle that happened was great. Spin, little dreidel, spin, spin, spin. So, that's a wonderful little song about the dreidel. Another song that we have about the dreidel that has the dreidel incorporated is Chanukah, Chanukah, Chag Yafeh Kol Kach. Chanukah is a merry holiday. Tops spin around and around. The candles burn. Let's sing and dance. Chanukah, Chanukah, Chag Yafeh Kol Kach, Or Chaviv Misaviv, Gilei Yeled Rach. Chanukah, Chanukah, Sivivon Sof Sof, Sof Sof Sof, Sof Sof Sof, Manayim Batov. חנוכה, חנוכה, חג יפה כל כך, אור חביב מסביב, ילד רך. חנוכה, חנוכה, סביבון סוף סוף, סוף סוף סוף, סוף סוף סוף, מה נעים וטוב. And of course, what program would be incomplete if we didn't have, of course, the dreidel song, I Have a Little Dreidel. So we're going to sing that now. I have a little dreidel. And you'll notice that usually we think of a dreidel. What's it made out of? Could be made out of clay. That's the song we know. I have a little dreidel. I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel, I shall play. But there are many other things we can make a dreidel out of, which you'll see in this song. Have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel, I shall play. Oh dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel, I shall play. I wonder if we could make a dreidel out of wood. I had a little dreidel, I made it out of wood, and when I tried to spin it, it spun just like it should. Oh dreidel, 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 I made it out of wood, and when I tried to spin it, it spun just like it should. We're approaching winter. What about snow? I had a little dreidel, I made it out of snow. I put it in the oven, oh where'd my dreidel go? Oh dreidel, 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 I made it out of snow. I put it in the oven, oh where'd my dreidel go? What about bread? I had a little dreidel, I made it out of bread. I did not spin my dreidel, I ate it up instead. Oh dreidel, 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 I made it out of bread. I did not spin my dreidel, I ate it up instead. Let's see. I have a little dreidel, I made it out of schmaltz, and when I tried to spin it, it did a little waltz. Oh dreidel, 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 I made it out of schmaltz, and when I tried to spin it, it did a little waltz. I have a little dreidel, it's sitting on the shelf. If you want more verses, you must make them up yourself. So those are a couple. You can have fun with this and make all kinds of verses up at home. It's a fun thing to do at night after you've just lit the candles. You might be wondering what schmaltz was. Schmaltz is that beautiful fat that comes to the top when you're making chicken soup, for example. That's schmaltz. It's a Yiddish word. And of course, the rhyme was schmaltz, waltz. So we went into a little waltz. So, the last song I'd like to share with you is another virtual choir video that our youth choir made. And it incorporates a number of the different themes. I'm going to try and do this while I'm talking with you. So this is called Lots of Latkes. So it uses, of course, the imagery of latkes. It also then goes to the theme of, it goes to the dreidels and talks about sivivon sof sof. We'll spin our little tops. And then it goes to the Maccabees. And so for you here, for your listening pleasure and your viewing pleasure, our CEBJ Youth Choir singing Lots of Latkes. And here we go.
Lots of latkes, 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 lots of latkes. That's all we do. Mososo, Sivi Mososo, Sivi Mososo, Sivi Mososo, Sivi Mososo, Maccabee, 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 Mac. Lots of latkes, lots of latkes, lots of latkes, lots. Let's all be on lots of latkes, lots of latkes, lots of latkes, lots. Let's all be on Sivi Mososo, 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 Sivi Mososo. Maccabee, 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 Mac.
So again, a huge thank you to our youth who prepared these two virtual choir videos, to our adult choir for preparing the Ma'uz Sur, to Scott Finch for balancing all of this music, also performing the piano in the two youth choir youth videos of lots of latkes and Hanukkah Round, to Dan Dance for all the other accompaniment, to Scott Finch for producing the videos. And I meant to say also that Lots of Latkes was written by Alan Leader. And so you can look that one up as well. It's a beautiful round. So I want to wish you all a very happy Hanukkah. Today is the 7th day of Hanukkah. There's one more day left, so enjoy today, tonight, also tomorrow, and hope that this brings you some joy and light during these days of the pandemic. Enjoy. Happy Hanukkah.